Hello friends, I'm Max. Today we're going to talk about something that sounds strange at first. How can intelligent, educated people sometimes believe ideas that are scientifically incorrect? This isn't just about one specific belief or theory. It's about something much deeper. How the human mind forms beliefs, and how those beliefs can feel completely true even when they are not. Let's explore the psychology behind it. 1. Intelligence does not guarantee correct thinking. Most people assume a very simple idea. If someone is smart, they must think correctly. But psychology and real-world behavior consistently show something very different. Intelligence mainly measures how efficiently a person can process information, solve problems, recognize patterns, and learn new skills. In other words, it improves processing speed and reasoning ability. However, intelligence does not automatically improve thinking accuracy. Because correct thinking depends on more than logic. It depends on how information is selected, interpreted, and emotionally processed. A highly intelligent person can still make serious thinking errors when bias is involved. For example, they may misinterpret information if it fits a pre-existing belief. They may trust the wrong sources if those sources confirm what they already think. They may build strong arguments around a weak assumption simply because they are skilled at reasoning. They may even become more confident in a wrong belief because intelligence helps them defend it more effectively. This creates a dangerous illusion. The more intelligent someone is, the more convincing their wrong belief can sound to themselves and to others. Psychology research shows that intelligent individuals are often better at rationalizing beliefs rather than questioning them. That means instead of challenging their own assumptions, they become skilled at justifying them logically after the belief is already formed. This is why two intelligent people can look at the same evidence and reach completely different conclusions, not because one lacks intelligence, but because their bias filters are different. Another key factor is emotional attachment. If a belief is connected to identity, community, or personal worldview, even a highly intelligent person may unconsciously protect that belief. In such cases, logic is not used to find truth. It is used to defend comfort. This leads to an important conclusion. Being smart improves your ability to think, but it does not guarantee that your thinking is objective, unbiased, or correct. True clarity requires something beyond intelligence. It requires awareness of bias, willingness to question yourself, and the discipline to separate emotion from evidence. 2. The brain prefers patterns, not truth. The human brain is not primarily designed to discover absolute truth in a scientific sense. Instead, it is designed for survival efficiency, which means quickly detecting patterns, making predictions, and reducing uncertainty in an often unpredictable environment. From an evolutionary perspective, recognizing patterns was more important than being perfectly accurate. If early humans could quickly identify this pattern equal to danger or this pattern equal to safety, they survived longer, even if their understanding was not fully correct. Because of this, the brain naturally tries to organize information into simple, understandable patterns, even when reality is complex. When people encounter confusing systems, such as economics, science, politics, or global events, the brain feels discomfort. Uncertainty creates cognitive tension. To reduce that discomfort, the mind automatically tries to simplify complexity into a clear story. This is why simple explanations often feel more satisfying than complex scientific models. A simple explanation gives a clear cause, a clear effect, a clear answer. While scientific explanations often include multiple variables, probabilities, uncertainty, competing theories, the brain, however, prefers clarity over complexity because clarity feels safe and controllable. So when someone is presented with a simple explanation for a complicated issue, the brain may instinctively accept it, not because it is correct, but because it is easy to process and emotionally comfortable. This is one of the key psychological reasons why misinformation can spread so effectively. False or incomplete ideas often succeed not because they are logically stronger, but because they are easier to understand, easier to remember, more emotionally satisfying, more structured as a complete story. In contrast, accurate information is often nuanced, uncertain, and complex, making it harder for the brain to instantly accept or spread. So the brain is not always asking, what is true? It is often asking, what makes sense quickly and feels stable enough to believe. 3. Confirmation bias, seeing what you already believe. One of the most powerful and well-documented forces in human psychology is confirmation bias. At its core, confirmation bias is the tendency for people to favor information that supports their existing beliefs while ignoring, downplaying, or critically dismissing information that challenges them. This process is usually not conscious. People do not intentionally try to distort reality. Instead, the brain naturally filters information in a way that feels consistent and internally stable. Confirmation bias works in three main stages. 1. Selective attention. People naturally pay more attention to information that aligns with what they already think. For example, if someone already has doubts about authority, institutions, or official explanations, they will instinctively notice content that supports that skepticism. At the same time, opposing evidence may not even register with the same emotional strength. 2. Selective interpretation. Even when people are exposed to the same information, they may interpret it differently based on their existing beliefs. A neutral statement can be seen as supportive or suspicious. Depending on the mindset of the observer, the brain tends to translate new information in a way that fits the current belief system rather than challenging it. 3. Selective memory. Over time, people are more likely to remember evidence that confirms their beliefs and forget or minimize evidence that contradicts them. This makes the belief feel stronger and more proven over time, even if the overall evidence is mixed or balanced. When these three mechanisms combine, they create a powerful psychological loop. A belief forms, the brain seeks confirming evidence, that evidence strengthens the belief, contradictory evidence is ignored. The belief becomes even stronger. This is why confirmation bias is often described as a self-reinforcing cycle. The more someone consumes content that aligns with their existing worldview, the more confident they become in that worldview, not necessarily because it is more accurate, but because it is being repeatedly reinforced. Modern digital environments amplify this effect significantly. Recommendation algorithms, personalized feeds, and content clustering make it easier than ever to repeatedly encounter similar viewpoints, creating what is often called an echo chamber effect. In such environments, belief does not just come from evidence. It comes from repetition, familiarity, and emotional reinforcement. This is why confirmation bias is considered one of the strongest barriers to objective thinking. 4. Identity becomes attached to belief. At a deeper psychological level, beliefs are not just mental ideas stored in the brain. Over time, especially when they are repeated, defended, and socially reinforced, beliefs begin to merge with something much more personal: identity. This means a belief stops being something a person simply thinks and starts becoming something they are. When someone strongly believes in a particular idea and also connects with a group of people who share and reinforce that belief, the belief becomes embedded in their sense of self. It transforms from what I think is true in who I am as a person. This shift is extremely important because identity is one of the most protected structures in the human mind. Once a belief becomes part of identity, it is no longer treated as a normal opinion that can be adjusted with new information. Instead, it becomes emotionally charged. Any challenge to that belief is no longer interpreted as a simple disagreement. It is perceived as a challenge to the self. At this point, changing the belief feels psychologically similar to losing a part of oneself. The brain does not experience it as updating information, but as threatening identity stability. This is why people often resist changing deeply held beliefs even when they are presented with strong counter-evidence. The resistance is not purely logical, it is emotional and protective. The human brain is designed to preserve a stable sense of identity because identity provides psychological security, social belonging, predictability in behavior, emotional grounding. So when a belief becomes tightly connected to identity, the brain activates a defensive response whenever that belief is questioned. This creates a powerful psychological barrier. Even if new information is accurate, the mind may reject it because accepting it would require restructuring how a person sees themselves. In this way, belief is no longer just about truth or falsehood. It becomes about belonging, self-protection, and emotional survival. That is why identity-linked beliefs are among the hardest to change, not because people cannot understand new information, but because changing it feels like changing who they are. 5. Distrust in authority creates alternative beliefs. Another important factor is trust. In modern society, many people question institutions, media, or official explanations. Sometimes this distrust comes from real experiences of misinformation or mistakes in history. But the mind does not always separate healthy skepticism from complete rejection. So instead of trusting official explanations, some people shift toward alternative frameworks that feel more honest or independent. The issue is not skepticism itself. The issue is when skepticism replaces evaluation. 6. Social influence is stronger than logic. Humans are social beings first, and rational thinkers second. This means our beliefs are not formed in isolation. They are formed inside groups, inside environments, inside social pressure systems. We often think we decide what is true based on evidence, but in reality, we first decide what feels socially safe, and then we adjust our logic to match that decision. If a person is surrounded by a community that strongly supports a certain idea, something very subtle starts happening in the mind. It does not happen suddenly. It happens gradually, almost invisibly. First, repetition begins to shape familiarity. The same ideas are heard again and again from different people in slightly different forms, and the brain starts doing something important. It stops evaluating the idea as new information and starts treating it as normal information. Then something even more powerful happens. Familiarity starts to feel like truth, not because it has been proven, but because it has been repeated enough times that the brain becomes comfortable with it. And the brain has a simple rule. What feels comfortable feels safe. What feels safe feels correct. So even without evidence, repetition alone can create a sense of truth. Next comes the most powerful layer, social acceptance. When a belief is shared by a group, it is not just an idea anymore. It becomes a signal of belonging. And belonging is one of the strongest psychological needs humans have. Stronger than curiosity, stronger than logic, sometimes even stronger than truth itself, because being right can feel good, but being accepted feels necessary for emotional security. This is why people often hesitate to challenge group beliefs, not because they lack intelligence, but because disagreement carries a hidden psychological cost. It risks isolation, it risks rejection, it risks losing connection with people they care about. So, the brain quietly makes a trade-off. It might be less accurate, but it keeps me connected. And in most cases, connection wins. Even when outside evidence strongly disagrees with the group, something interesting happens. The mind does not immediately update its belief. Instead, it starts protecting the existing one, because now the belief is not just information. It is part of identity, what belonging combined. And when those two merge, logic becomes secondary. This is why two people can look at the same facts and still disagree completely. It is not because one cannot understand. It is because they are processing the information through different social environments, different trust networks, different emotional attachments, different fears of rejection. So the real truth is this: people don't just believe what they think is correct. They believe what their environment allows them to believe safely. And once a belief becomes socially reinforced, it no longer needs constant proof to survive. It only needs constant repetition. 7. The role of online algorithms. In today's world, platforms like YouTube and social media personalize content. If someone watches one type of content, algorithms often recommend similar content again and again. This creates an ecosystem where one idea keeps repeating. Alternative views are rarely shown. Beliefs become stronger over time. Without realizing it, a person can move deeper into a specific worldview simply through repeated exposure. 8. Emotional comfort over scientific complexity. Scientific explanations are often complex. They involve data, mathematics, and uncertainty. But simple explanations feel emotionally easier. The brain prefers clarity over confusion. So if a simple narrative explains everything neatly, it can feel more satisfying than a complex scientific model, even if the model is correct. 9. Why arguing rarely changes minds. Many people assume a very straightforward idea about human thinking. If I present enough facts, the other person will eventually accept the truth. This sounds logical on the surface. It assumes that belief formation is a purely rational process, like solving a math problem where more correct information automatically leads to the right answer. But in reality, human belief systems rarely work that way. Beliefs are not built only on logic. They are shaped by a combination of emotion, social identity, past experiences, and group belonging. This makes them much more resistant to change than people expect. When a belief is challenged directly, especially in an argumentative or confrontational way, the brain does not interpret it as a neutral exchange of information. Instead, it often perceives it as a psychological threat. As a result, several defensive mechanisms can activate. 1. Defensive reactions. Instead of carefully analyzing the information, a person may instinctively defend their existing belief. The focus shifts from, "Is this true?" to how do I protect my position? 2. Strengthened belief reinforcement. Paradoxically, strong confrontation can make people more committed to their original belief. This happens because defending an idea repeatedly can increase emotional attachment to it, especially when the person feels challenged or attacked. 3. Increased psychological resistance. Once a person feels pressured or invalidated, they may become less open to alternative viewpoints. Not more. The mind tends to close ranks when it feels its worldview is under threat. This is why arguments often fail in changing deeply held beliefs. Even when one side presents accurate information, the emotional experience of being challenged can override logical processing. In contrast, respectful conversation tends to work differently. When people feel heard, understood, and not attacked, their defensive barriers lower. This creates space for reflection rather than resistance. So the key difference is not the quality of information, it is the psychological environment in which the information is delivered. In most cases, minds change not through argument, but through gradual exposure, trust, and internal reflection over time. 10. The real lesson: understanding, not judging. The goal is not to mock or dismiss people. The goal is to understand how human thinking works. Because once you understand the psychology behind belief formation, you also understand yourself better. We all have biases. We all make assumptions. We all filter reality through personal experience. The difference is awareness. Final lessons. 1. Intelligence does not guarantee correct thinking or immunity to bias. 2. The brain prefers simple patterns over complex but accurate explanations. 3. Confirmation. Bias strengthens beliefs by filtering information selectively. 4. Identity and social belonging can make beliefs emotionally resistant to change. 5. Awareness of psychological bias is the first step toward clearer, more objective thinking. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you never miss a story or a lesson from me, Max. Let's keep learning, growing, and evolving together.